I don't even know exactly where I started, but I've always had this attraction to the concept of and teaching of how as a church we can get outside the four walls. I mean, well, really, even if I go back to when I was here at what was Toronto City Church, even my very early days, I actually attended the church with my family when I was like 9, 10, or 11 years old. So I'm now pastoring people who remember me when I was like this tall. So there was always this perspective of we need to touch our city. We need to impact our city. We're here for our city. We're here to make a difference through prayer and through action. And so I think that was with me right from those stages. So it always sowed the seeds with me, which is kind of interesting how the Lord brought that journey back around. So my family had moved on and I kind of went on this journey myself of growing up. I ultimately planted a church that was called Church Without Limits. We planted in the back of a motorcycle shop. Not out of design, it was just, that was the only place I could find that will let us do it. So already that's kind of right in our core DNA, kind of being out in the marketplace. I mean, it's actually, when you think about the whole transformational concept, it was very interesting because the friend who owned the motorcycle shop is a guy named Jerry Ordanis, and he kind of took this risk on me because I wouldn't have let me do it. And it was a beautiful picture of marketplace and ministry walking together. Like back then it was just this little motorcycle shop in a plaza. Now they've got they own a property that's right off the major highway. They sell secondhand bikes as much as they back, but now they're a full Ducati dealership and they do a lot of other things. But what he does, for example, is he has his business. He ministers to his employees. They run Alpha out of their facilities. That really formed in me, again, this DNA of thinking outside the box of, okay, we're here to impact our community. How can we make an impact? The first picture that we really try and work with here at Toronto City Church is what I believe is a very core biblical picture for the church, which is family. The primary revelation of God in the New Testament is that of Father, and Jesus came as the Son, and we are adopted into the family. The picture of a man who's made children, Proverbs talks about like a quiver full of arrows. Well, you think about an arrow, you hold an arrow for a certain period of time, you pull it back, you make sure it's rightly aligned, but then you've got to release it and let it go to an intended purpose. And so in the same way, that was really for me the core picture that we work with as a spiritual father, and there's spiritual sons and daughters of the house, but I'm not just having you here so you can fulfill the vision of the church. It's like, I want to know what God's placed inside of you, and the vision of the church is to see you go be salt and light and do what you need to do. And so you're out there, you're making an impact, you're touching people I can never touch. You are in systems and in circles that I will never be in, and you've got calling, you've got purpose. And so my calling is to see you walk out the fullness way. And so I tell our church family all the time, I'm like, listen, I succeed when you succeed. I get excited when I see you step into what God has for you in your life. I get excited when I see you walk in the fullness of your calling. What it's really helped me to do, and what I really love it so much, is it's taken what has been theoretical and it actually puts flesh on it. It actually gives real life examples of, okay, this is how we can actually do it. Because for years, I definitely would say I had this conceptual understanding of releasing people to impact, but we weren't doing it very effectively. I wanted to, I loved it, but I didn't have kind of the left foot, right foot, the nuts and bolts of how do we actually engage people in doing this? How do we actually make this thing happen? So I think we're kind of still on this journey of being a transformational church, but really for me it's recognizing, I say this a lot to our congregation, Sunday morning, to use that figuratively, Sunday morning is not the game. Sunday morning's the huddle. We're getting together here, and then the game, what we're supposed to do, is Monday through Saturday as you go out to your workplace, as you go out to your school, as you go out into your neighborhood. We are gathering here. We want to be an equipping and a training place, a training center, so you can go out and you can be salt, you can be light, you can make an impact for the kingdom of God. Frankly, connecting with Transformation Council, and we've been able to get some of our key leaders starting to get involved, and it's just been so life-giving for them and so enriching. I think just to dialogue and interact, because sometimes as pastors get together, and it's great we get together, but we see things through a certain lens because we're pastoring. We're all in the same kind of vein. But when you start interacting with kingdom-minded leaders from different streams, if I could say it that way, you start to hear things from a different perspective. It broadens your perspective. When people in my church, in the family that I serve, when people really begin to get passionate about calling and what God's called them to and out there, to be honest with you, they do way better in church as well. Because it says in Proverbs, without a vision, people perish or they cast off restraint. A lot of people, you help them connect with the God vision for their lives, and they start to win, they start to succeed. Well, they come back in on a Sunday, and they're not there kind of like, oh, give me something, I'm discouraged. No, they're encouraged, they're challenged, they're taking territory, and they actually pull more out of you as a pastor because they're out there doing something. I'm not just getting prayer so I can make it to next week. I want you to pray with me because I'm building a company, or I'm got a strategy for my neighborhood, or I'm doing this or that. So it totally changes the dynamic. It just makes more sense on every level.